And joining me now for more, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Congresswoman, it's always so good to have you on the show. Look, there's a quote from the Times that I read. It said Santos was not the cause of the House's shamelessness, but a symptom and a warning. I mean, let's be clear. Santos drops his crown. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, quick to pick it up. Do you think having somebody like George Santos out of Congress is necessarily going to make that much of a difference in terms of the chaos that the Republicans are basically pumping into Congress at this time?
Absolutely not. I mean, George Santos wasn't involved in any of the brawls that almost took place. I mean, seriously. And this is a guy that they removed from his committees very early on. So Santos isn't necessarily the one that is the catalyst for their chaos, but he definitely is a symptom and an outcome of who the Republican Party as a whole has become. As far as I'm concerned, the chaos starts at the top. It starts with Donald Trump. We know that we have MAGA Mike as our speaker, who basically is now doing everything that he can to make sure that he continues to show his loyalty to the twice impeached 91 count indicted former president. So I would say that it actually starts with Donald Trump. It doesn't start with Santos. He's the low man on the totem pole.
I mean, maybe it's a rare sign of bipartisan action that's going to happen in the House, Congresswoman. But, I mean, it sounds like there's about 60 more members of the House that are now willing to vote to expel George Santos. But look, that guy's got 9 lives, right? I mean, he's lived to fight another day on prior expulsion votes. But do you think this report, and I appreciated your tweet because, you know, I traffic in facts and evidence, this ethics committee, 37 subpoenas, 43 voluntary requests for information, and the review of over 172,000 pages of documents, interviewing over 40 witnesses. This was a thorough thing in terms of an investigation. So do you think it's enough now for Santos to be out?
Absolutely. So there are those that think that due process means that you have to go to trial and be convicted. And you and I both know that that's not necessarily the definition of due process, because not everyone ends up with a criminal proceeding. Due process is just giving someone an opportunity to face allegations and defend themselves. And honestly, this report outlined how frustrated the committee was with the fact that they were giving him opportunity after opportunity to provide some sort of proof for the allegations that he was saying was false, right? Like they were saying, hey, help us out, guy. And he was non-responsive. And when he was responsive, he was evasive and he was attempting to actually thwart their investigation. But I do applaud the committee because this is probably the only thing that has been bipartisan that we've seen here recently where we had anything that was done unanimously in the House. And that was determining that George Santos is a fraud. But I don't think that the people at home had any questions about that. I just think we didn't have all the dirty details about the OnlyFans and the where did he go? Sephora. And the Botox and how much he paid for the Botox. We just didn't have the dirty details, but we knew that Santos was a fraud and was doing a lot of ridiculous things. And I think that it was quite alarming that there's $240,000 worth of withdrawals that they literally cannot account for. They don't know what he did with that. And I honestly don't see Santos deciding that he's going to step down from his post simply because, listen, this report revealed he's got terrible credit. He doesn't have any money. He's getting a check right now, and I think he needs to continue to get his check. So I don't see him resigning. So if we don't kick him out, I think Santos will continue to serve. And the last point that I'll make is that when Julie was talking about these Biden seats, Santos sits in a double-digit Biden seat. New York, I need y'all to just show up and vote. And we will not have another George Santos situation.
Well, I will say this, as I sadly have to part from you, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. At least they could find a bank account for George Santos versus MAGA Mike Johnson, who doesn't have bank accounts inexplicably. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, as always, allegedly. I'll add allegedly for you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. And turning now